Have you ever felt abandoned by those who promised to stand by your side? What if the very people who should have been your greatest support became the ones who left you to face your darkest hours alone? Have you ever wondered how you can emerge victorious when the world, and even those closest to you, seem to turn away when you need them most? My beloved friend, in the shadows of unspoken truths, you stood alone. Your pain was witnessed but met with silence, a deafening silence that echoed through empty promises and averted gazes. Those who saw your struggle chose comfort over courage, leaving you to face the darkness without allies. They watched from a distance as storms gathered around you. They heard your cries but covered their ears. They knew the truth but sealed their lips. The very people who promised to stand beside you retreated to safety, leaving only their shadows where their presence should have been. Yet here you stand today, victorious despite it all, not because of those who should have spoken up, but because of the fire within you that refused to be extinguished. This triumph belongs solely to you, forged in resilience, tempered in solitude, and polished by the very tears they pretended not to see. This celebration isn't just about what you've overcome. It's about who you've become in spite of their silence. The victory tastes sweeter because you earned every moment of it alone. The world watched as you were wronged, and now they will watch as you rise, transformed by the very trials they were too afraid to acknowledge. Their silence was not your ending. It was merely the blank page upon which you began to write your own story. Before we dive deeper into this journey, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude. If you've supported through Super Thanks, thank you so much for your generosity. Your contributions make it possible for this content to continue reaching more hearts and minds. Whether or not you've donated, your presence and participation here are deeply valued. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Your support means the world to me. As you stand in this victory, I want to hear from you. How has your journey mirrored this transformation? Comment the number 999 if you feel that your time for transformation has come. It's no coincidence that this number represents spiritual growth and completion. Type 999 below if you are ready to rise above the challenges that once held you back and step into the light of your destiny. Now, let's dive into the truth of your journey, your triumph, and the story that was meant to unfold. God's chosen ones, celebrate your victory. They knew what was done to you, yet no one stood up. When God decides to elevate you, three powerful forces activate in your life, shifting everything around you. First, He isolates you, not to punish, but to protect. Have you ever felt like you were left alone, even when you desperately needed support? That sense of abandonment wasn't meant to harm you. It was actually a divine shield, a protection. This isolation separated you from those who would have drained your purpose or diluted your calling. It's almost as though God said, "You're not alone, you're chosen, and I will guard you." Take a moment to think about the times when people turned away from you, when relationships started to fade. You might have thought, "Why am I being left behind?" But what if it was all part of God's plan? In the Bible, we see the story of Joseph. He was isolated, betrayed by his brothers, and thrown into a pit, but that pit became the very place that positioned him to fulfill God's purpose. As Genesis 50:20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." This isolation, this betrayal, was the preparation for the greatness God had in store for him. Then God instills in you a supernatural dependence on His presence alone. Has it ever crossed your mind that the supports you once relied on may have dissolved for a reason? Those friends, that family, that comfort, it all seemed to vanish. Why? It wasn't by chance. God was preparing you for something greater. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. His closest disciples couldn't stay awake to support him. It was in his moment of loneliness and abandonment that he found the strength to fulfill his mission. In the same way, your reliance on God's presence, rather than human comfort, equips you with a strength that no one can take away. Have you realized that this supernatural strength, this divine wisdom, doesn't come from human hands? In those darkest moments, when no human reached out to steady you, you found yourself grasping the unchanging hand of the divine. Have you felt that strength rise from within, beyond what you thought possible? That strength is a gift only given by the Creator. Third, God reveals your true identity. You are not defined by what others think of you, nor by the labels and limitations they place on you. The world may tell you who you are, but God will tell you who you truly are. Have you noticed that people seem uncomfortable around you now? They shift their gaze, change their tone, or find reasons to distance themselves. Why do you think that is? Is it possible that they sense something they can't fully comprehend? The divine authority that now rests upon your shoulders. Your strength becomes intimidating to those who remain weak by choice. As Matthew 5:14 reminds us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your light, though bright, isn't the problem. The problem is that many people have grown so accustomed to the darkness that your light is unsettling to them. This discomfort you feel from others is not your burden to bear. The Bible speaks of this in John 15:18. "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." It's not your failure, but a clear confirmation of your elevation. When people can no longer handle your light, it's not because you shine too brightly. It's because they have become so used to the darkness that they cannot bear the sight of your truth. Stand tall in this new authority. You have been chosen not for ease but for purpose. You are not called for comfort but for transformation. And those who once thought your isolation would break you will soon witness it as your greatest triumph. Take the example of Moses, who was called out from the wilderness to lead the Israelites to freedom. He faced rejection, isolation, and doubt, but those same challenges became the foundation of his strength. In Exodus 3:10, God tells Moses, "So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Moses' isolation and experiences prepared him for the monumental task of leading God's people to freedom. Chosen one, the betrayal that blindsided you was written in the stars long before it manifested in your life. Have you ever experienced that unsettling feeling, those moments of unease you couldn't explain? Could it be that your spirit was trying to warn you, preparing you for what was to come long before your mind could comprehend it? Those instinctive whispers, were they truly paranoia, or were they divine warnings trying to alert you to the danger ahead? What if you had listened to them? But now you see it, don't you? The very people who were closest to you, those who smiled the brightest in your presence, were the ones working behind closed doors to bring you down. The hands that extended help were secretly preparing to place obstacles in your path. Doesn't this make you wonder, how could they invest so much time and energy in seeing you fail? Why would they do it? Why would they try so hard to destroy you? The answer is clear: your light threatened them. Your authenticity shone a spotlight on their fraudulence. Have you ever noticed how your natural gifts expose the weaknesses in others? Do you feel like your journey forces others to face their own pretenses? Your truth has become the mirror they cannot bear to look into. In John 3:20, Jesus says, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. Your light was never the problem. It was the darkness that resided in them that couldn't handle your brilliance. Have you come to the realization that this betrayal was no accident? Money actually changed hands to derail your destiny. It wasn't just a few words or broken promises. There was a deliberate effort to sabotage your progress, your reputation, and your future. You must understand that this wasn't a casual betrayal. It was calculated, coordinated, and carried out with the sole purpose of breaking you. Does it make you question the true nature of the relationships you thought were real? Were they ever truly for you, or just there to test your strength? Just like Judas, who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, Matthew 26:15. Some people will sell your trust for temporary gain. But remember, betrayal is never the final word. And those karmic relationships that seemed so promising, what did you think they were? Did you believe that they were your anchor, your destiny? They were never meant to last. They were tests to prepare you for something far greater. When the pressure increased, did they stand by you or did they walk away? When standing with you demanded courage, did they choose to stand firm or did they cower in fear? When loyalty demanded sacrifice, did they protect their own comfort, leaving you to face the storm alone? How did you feel when those you counted on became the very ones who chose to abandon you? But here's where your saber, your patience came into play. What is divinely ordained cannot be obstructed by human hands. Did you ever question whether God's plan could be thwarted by their actions? It's clear now that the obstacles they placed in your path have become the stepping stones that elevated you. These challenges didn't break you. Instead, they forged you. And just like the great leaders in the Bible, your story is one of growth in the face of opposition. Think of David. When he was pursued by King Saul, the very man who should have supported him, Saul sought to destroy him. But in 1 Samuel 24:12, David said, "May the Lord judge between you and me, and may the Lord avenge the wrongs you have done to me." And despite the betrayal, David rose to the throne. In the same way, your resistance has built your strength. Your spiritual muscles have grown stronger with every rejection. The rejection you faced has clarified your path, helping you see the direction you're meant to go. Hasn't your clarity increased? With every obstacle, you've become more focused on the journey ahead. It reminds me of the story of Steve Jobs. Fired from Apple, the company he founded, he later returned and transformed the company into one of the most successful in the world. He once said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Like Jobs, your greatest achievements will come after the moments of betrayal and rejection. What about Oprah Winfrey, who faced rejection and hardship early in her career? She was told she wasn't fit for television, but she didn't let those judgments define her. Instead, she used the rejection to fuel her rise to becoming one of the most influential women in the world. Oprah's story is one of resilience, just like yours. She once said, "You don't become what you want, you become what you believe." Your belief in your divine calling has been the key to your growth. It is the very people who sought to destroy you who will witness your rise. In Psalm 23, verse 5, it says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." Your victory will be witnessed by those who thought you were finished, but God will use their rejection to elevate you. Stand tall, chosen one. Every obstacle they placed in your way has become a stepping stone to your destiny. What was meant to break you has only defined you. Your greatest triumph is still ahead, and the people who doubted you will one day see that their betrayal was the very thing that propelled you to greatness. Chosen one, let them scheme, let them sabotage, let them temporarily satisfy their jealousy with what they perceive as small victories. But do you know what they're failing to realize? What awaits them is the unavoidable law of reaping what they've sown. Every action they take, every seed of bitterness they plant, will one day bear fruit. And what awaits you, chosen one, is the unshakable promise of divine vindication. Have you felt it? That assurance deep in your spirit that no matter what they do, God will stand with you, defending you and elevating you to heights they cannot comprehend. Few will ever understand the magnitude of what you've been facing. Do they truly know what you've endured? They may see the surface-level challenges, but they cannot see the unseen battles you've been fighting. While they notice only the external struggles, you have been contending with something far deeper, a systematic effort to suppress your light and silence your voice. Have you ever felt like there were forces at work that no one could explain? Forces that seem to operate in the shadows, moving with precision to block your progress. These forces have been working like a secret society against your elevation. But have you ever wondered why? Why are they so determined to stop you? But here's the question: what weapon can prosper against one who is divinely shielded? What strategy can succeed against one who is supported by the very heavens? None, not a single one. This battle may look fierce, but with God on your side, nothing can touch you. Do you truly understand the magnitude of divine protection in your life? Just as the Israelites were shielded by the hand of God when Pharaoh pursued them, you too are under a celestial shield. No matter how strong the opposition, what can they do when you're surrounded by the Creator's power? In Isaiah 54:17, it is written, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." This isn't a mere promise, it's a declaration of your victory. The same power that created the heavens and the earth is now standing between you and those who seek to bring you down. Can you grasp the weight of that promise? What was meant for your destruction will only serve to propel you into your destiny. Open your sacred text to Psalm 74 and let its ancient words become your modern shield. But God is my King from long ago. He brings salvation on the earth. This scripture isn't just beautiful poetry, it's protection. It isn't merely words on a page, it's a bulletproof promise. When was the last time you took a moment to stand on these truths? The Creator, the King, who rules over all of heaven and earth, is on your side. How can any weapon formed against you succeed? Can you picture that divine shield around you, protecting you from every attack? Can you see the hand of God keeping you safe from the enemies who wish to see you fall? This impossibly difficult chapter in your life is coming to an end. Have you sensed the shift in the air? The narrative is changing, the page is turning. What seemed like an endless winter, filled with darkness and uncertainty, is about to reveal its first signs of spring. You've persevered, chosen one, and now the breakthrough is within your reach. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable are now preparing to become the foundation of your testimony. How does it feel to know that everything you've endured will soon be used for your elevation? Think about the life of Abraham Lincoln, who faced years of ridicule, rejection, and adversity before rising to become one of the most revered presidents in American history. Through betrayal and political sabotage, he stood firm in his purpose. Lincoln once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." His journey, marked by hardship and opposition, ultimately led to his victory. Like Lincoln, your challenges are not the end. They are shaping your future. What about the story of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his fight against apartheid? He faced unimaginable betrayal and oppression, yet he emerged as the leader of South Africa. He was steadfast in his faith, even when everything seemed to be working against him. Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." His unwavering determination led to the freedom of his people, and your story too will inspire generations to come. And then there's the powerful example of J.K. Rowling, whose journey to success was filled with rejection and struggles. She was turned down by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Rolling's story shows that rejection and setbacks are just part of the process. She once said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." Like Rolling, the struggles you face now will only serve as the foundation upon which your testimony will stand tall. So, chosen one, stand firm. What they intended to destroy you with will only build you. Their sabotage, their schemes, and their temporary victories are all part of the divine plan to elevate you. Psalm 118 verse 6 reminds us, "The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? You are divinely protected, and nothing can stop what God has already ordained." The page is turning, and soon you will stand at the pinnacle of your victory, watching as the impossible becomes your reality. Chosen one, there were moments when continuing seemed impossible. Have you ever felt like simply breathing was an act of defiance? There were times when rising from bed required the kind of courage that legends are made of. You wondered if heaven itself had abandoned you, didn't you? You must have felt as though you were all alone in your struggle, facing a storm that seemed endless. But what if I told you that all along, divine eyes were watching over you? Sacred hands were working tirelessly behind the scenes, preparing you for what's coming. Does it comfort you to know that despite how isolated you felt, you were never truly abandoned? Every hardship you faced was a part of God's larger plan. You might have felt that the situation before you was impossible to overcome, like an uncrossable ocean standing between you and your destiny. But what if the truth is this? That ocean is about to reveal its hidden pathway. That mountain blocking your view of tomorrow, it's about to become the vantage point from which you'll see your promised land. Can you see it now? The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable will soon transform into the foundation for your victory. And that fire that threatened to consume you, it's not destruction, it's purification. The fire has been refining you for a purpose beyond what you can currently understand. This is why you are chosen. Your opposition has been permitted, not to destroy you, but to develop you. Have you ever wondered why you were chosen to face such hardships? Could it be that the things that tried to break you have actually been building you? The things that threatened to derail you have in fact been pointing you toward your true destiny. Romans 8:28 promises, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Your journey may have felt like an uphill battle, but each step has been necessary for the transformation God has been orchestrating in your life. Has your faith grown stronger through the struggle? Remember the words of Jesus in John 8:32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But here's the paradox. Most people cannot handle the truth. They can't handle the weight of it, the clarity it brings. But chosen one, you are different. You've been prepared to stand in that truth, to embrace it even when it's painful. And now you are ready for the next step. Now comes perhaps the most challenging directive of your journey. You must forgive. Does that sound impossible too? How can you forgive those who betrayed you, who hurt you in ways words cannot fully express? It's not because your betrayers deserve forgiveness, not because their actions were justified, and certainly not because forgiveness will change them. But you must forgive, chosen one, because unforgiveness is a chain that binds you to those who sought to harm you. Have you felt that weight? The bitterness, the anger. It's a chain that keeps you tethered to your pain. But forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about freeing your future. Forgiveness doesn't minimize their wrong. It maximizes your peace. Have you ever realized that forgiveness doesn't excuse their actions, but it releases their power over your emotions? This act of forgiveness isn't weakness. It is spiritual warfare. You are cutting the invisible cords that have kept you bound. This is the ultimate act of freedom. Don't you long to experience that freedom, the kind that no person, no circumstance, and no betrayal can take away from you? This is where divine promise enters. There is a law of divine restitution that governs the universe. Whatever was taken will be restored. Whatever was stolen will be returned, not just in equal measure, but multiplied. Do you believe that what was stolen from you, whether it's your peace, your trust, or your joy, will be returned to you in ways you cannot yet imagine? It's not just about getting back what you lost, but receiving more than you ever had before. This is the law of the universe, and the balance is about to be adjusted in your favor. Think about the story of Job. After losing everything, his wealth, his health, his family, Job persevered, and in the end, God restored to him double what he had lost. Job 42:10. The same divine principle applies to your life. Your losses, your pain, and your struggles have not been in vain. They are seeds that will soon bear the fruit of divine restoration. And just as Job's story ended in abundant blessings, your journey is about to culminate in a similar transformation. Look at the life of Thomas Edison, who faced repeated failures before finally inventing the light bulb. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's perseverance and ability to rise from setbacks led to an invention that changed the world. Just like Edison, your current trials are shaping you for an incredible breakthrough. Consider the life of Maya Angelou, who faced childhood trauma and adversity, but went on to become a world-renowned poet, author, and activist. Angelou's journey wasn't easy, but her ability to forgive and rise above her pain led to a life of purpose and impact. She once said, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." Your story, too, will be a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and divine restoration. Chosen one. Remember the dreams you reluctantly surrendered? Have you ever looked back at those moments and wondered what might have been if you hadn't let go? The opportunities that slipped through your fingers, the relationships that dissolved, the property that was taken from you, the home that was lost. These losses may have left scars on your heart, and the reputation that was damaged. That too felt like a deep wound. But here's the truth. Chosen one. Divine restitution is coming for all of it. Can you feel it stirring within you? Everything that was lost, everything that seemed taken from you is about to be returned, not just as it was, but as something greater. But here's the key. Restoration rarely looks identical to what was lost. Have you ever wondered why the things you lost didn't come back the way you expected? What if God isn't merely replacing what was taken, but upgrading it? What if the restoration that's coming isn't just a simple return, but a redirection towards something far better than you could have imagined? Think about the story of David. He lost his position and his kingdom, but when he was restored, God didn't just bring him back to where he was before. He elevated him to something greater. Just as 1 Samuel 16:13 says, "So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers, and from that day on the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David." David's restoration wasn't a return to what was lost. It was a divine upgrade, preparing him for the future God had already planned. What if you've been looking at your losses through the wrong lens? What if what you've been calling a setback was actually a divine setup for something greater? It's important to realize that what's coming for you may bear little resemblance to what was taken. Why? Because what's on the way is aligned with your true purpose, not your past desires. Are you ready to receive what God has prepared for you, even if it doesn't look like what you imagined? That unexpected closed door that felt like rejection, it was protection. Have you ever questioned why something you desperately wanted didn't come to pass? Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or a dream that you thought was meant for you. But what if that door closing wasn't a sign of failure, but a divine shield keeping you from something that wasn't aligned with your true destiny? Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." who have been called according to his purpose. Every closed door, every rejection is part of God's greater plan to guide you towards something better. That painful redirection that felt like failure, it was divine navigation. Have you ever felt like you were on the wrong path, even though you were doing everything right? When things didn't go as planned, did you feel like a failure? But what if that redirection was actually divine navigation, steering you away from a road that would have led to destruction? Think of Jonah. He tried to go to Nineveh on his own terms, but God redirected him through a storm and the belly of a great fish. Jonah 2:1 says, "From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God." That moment of seeming failure was a divine correction, preparing him for the purpose God had in mind all along. That relationship that didn't survive, it couldn't withstand the weight of your destiny. How many times have you wondered why certain relationships didn't work out, even though you invested so much into them? Those friendships, those partnerships, those love connections, could it be that they simply weren't meant to go with you into your future? The weight of your destiny couldn't be carried by relationships that weren't built to endure the calling on your life. In 2 Corinthians 6:14, we're reminded, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" Some relationships were never meant to endure the weight of your divine calling, chosen one. The pain of loss is often the precursor to the blessing of alignment. Chosen one, your home, your property, your place of belonging, all of these will be restored in ways that will leave no doubt about divine intervention. Have you ever felt like you've lost it all, like what was once yours was beyond your reach? The truth is, what seemed permanently lost is simply being held in sacred safekeeping. Can you sense it? Your losses are not forgotten. They are gaining spiritual interest with every passing day. The return on your suffering, chosen one, is about to become evident. The value of your tears, your sacrifices, your pain, it's all about to be returned to you in ways that will exceed what you ever imagined. What if your hardship was never truly in vain, but rather the seed for something extraordinary? In Joel 2:25, God promises, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." What was taken from you, what was lost or stolen, is being restored, not just as it was, but in a way that reflects God's perfect plan for you. Can you believe that? The wait is almost over, and the restoration that comes will be proof of divine timing and intervention. The whispers are beginning. Can you hear them? Your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never entered. Your work is being discussed at tables you haven't yet been invited to. Do you sense the recognition coming your way? Not because you sought the spotlight, but because light naturally attracts attention. Just as Matthew 5:14 tells us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your authenticity, your purpose, your light is drawing attention, even when you've felt unseen. Can you feel the shift, the movement, the acknowledgement that is about to flood your life? And while you've stood alone in your defense, someone has been advocating for you behind the scenes. Have you ever felt like you were fighting battles on your own, unsure if anyone saw or understood your struggle? Well, someone with influence has recognized your authentic value. They have seen what others missed, and they have been quietly creating pathways for your advancement. They've believed in you when others doubted. Isn't it powerful to think that behind the scenes, someone has been working on your behalf, preparing the way for your elevation? As Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Your commitment to your purpose has not gone unnoticed. This unseen support will soon manifest as public endorsement, bringing you into new realms of influence. And as for those who betrayed you, have you noticed the change? The mask is slipping, the carefully constructed facade is cracking. What was done in darkness is now being exposed to light. You might have wondered if their deceit would ever be uncovered. Well, chosen one, the time has come. Each lie they told is unraveling. Each scheme they plotted is being revealed. Each false accusation is returning to its source. In Luke 12:2, it's written, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." Your journey has been about walking in truth, and the truth is about to be made visible. This exposure isn't happening because you sought revenge. Isn't it liberating to know that you don't need to orchestrate their downfall? What if I told you that the truth has its own timeline? You simply need to focus on your ascent, chosen one. As you rise, their deception naturally becomes visible, like shadows fading in the brilliance of daylight. It's not your job to bring their lies to light. It's simply your job to shine brighter. As you walk in your divine purpose, their deceit will become apparent against the backdrop of your authenticity. Think of how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. faced immense opposition during the civil rights movement. His enemies worked tirelessly to discredit him, yet his message of truth, justice, and equality could not be silenced. In the end, the truth about his mission was revealed, and his legacy lives on. King once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Your truth, too, is bending the arc of your destiny toward justice and restoration." Or consider the life of Rosa Parks, who took a stand against injustice at the cost of her own comfort and safety. She didn't fight for recognition, but her authenticity and courage eventually led to the dismantling of segregation. Parks said, "I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear." Like Parks, your courage and integrity will bring about the exposure of what has been hidden. Chosen one, the recognition coming to you isn't just about personal vindication, it's about divine validation. Can you feel it? Heaven is confirming what was whispered to your spirit during those lonely nights of tears and doubts. Do you remember those moments when you felt invisible, forgotten, or overlooked? You may have wondered if your struggle was unnoticed, but I'm here to tell you this. You were never forgotten, never abandoned, never overlooked. The truth is, God was always present, even when you couldn't see it. Can you feel the weight of that assurance? The spotlight now finding you was focused on you all along. It was simply waiting for the divine cue to illuminate your path. Does it give you peace to know that your purpose has always been in motion, even when it seemed like you were stuck? The journey may have been long and difficult, but now the world is starting to see what God has been shaping in the shadows. As Psalm 75, 6-7 says, "No one from the east or the west, or from the desert, can exalt themselves. It is God who judges. He brings one down, he exalts another. The time of your elevation has come, and it's all according to God's divine timing. Look at yourself now. Really, look. Have you taken a moment to reflect on how far you've come? The person staring back at you in the mirror bears little resemblance to who you were before this refining fire. The challenges you faced haven't just changed your circumstances, they've transformed your very essence. Do you recognize the strength that's now a part of you, a strength forged in the fires of trial? You've evolved. You've become something new, something stronger, more resilient, and more purposeful. From survival to significance. From victim to victor. From wounded to warrior. Can you see it now? This metamorphosis wasn't accidental, it was essential. The person you were before could not carry the purpose you're destined for. The strength you now possess was forged in the very fires meant to destroy you. How does it feel to realize that what tried to break you only made you stronger? The process of refinement is never easy, but in the end, it always leads to something far greater than what you could have imagined. Isaiah 48:10 says, "See, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. Your trials were the furnace, but you came out as gold. But what's most remarkable isn't just that you survived, it's how you survived. Think about it. You went through the fire, and yet you still stand. Not only have you endured, but you have done so with grace, dignity, and strength intact. Do you realize the beauty in that? You didn't become hardened or bitter. Instead, you survived with dignity intact, with compassion undiminished, and with faith deepened rather than destroyed. This is the kind of strength that others can't understand. The world expects you to be broken, but instead you've become an embodiment of God's power and grace. Can you see how your survival is a testament to God's faithfulness? This evolution reveals your divine DNA, your spiritual lineage. Not everyone emerges from such trials with their light still shining. Many become as dark as the darkness that engulfed them. But not you, chosen one. Your light has only grown stronger. Your journey, though painful, has been the very thing that refined your spirit and illuminated your purpose. As 2 Corinthians 4:8-9 reminds us, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. That's your testimony. You've endured, and now your light shines brighter than ever. And this is why they're jealous. This is why they're intimidated. Have you noticed the discomfort others feel in your presence now? The jealousy that simmers beneath the surface. It's not about you. It's about the transformation that they can't deny. Your authenticity, your strength, your light. These are things that make others feel exposed. They cannot understand how you've emerged from the fire without being consumed. But you, chosen one, you are the proof of divine favor. Your journey has been a testimony to what God can do when we remain faithful in the furnace. Think of the life of Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, he emerged not broken by the experience, but more determined to fight for justice and equality. His dignity, compassion, and faith only deepened through his trial, and he became a beacon of light for the world. Mandela once said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." Your struggles, like his, have shaped you into something far greater than you were before. Or consider the story of Maya Angelou, who overcame incredible adversity in her life, including childhood trauma, only to rise as one of the most influential voices of her generation. Her resilience, compassion, and strength are evident in her work and in her life. Angelou once said, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." Like her, your survival with dignity intact reveals a strength that cannot be denied. Chosen one, they witnessed your suffering but never expected your transformation. Do you ever think about how others might have expected you to fall apart? They anticipated your breakdown, but they never imagined the breakthrough that was on the way. They watched for your surrender, but they never prepared for your comeback. How does it feel, chosen one, to know that everything they expected from you has been turned upside down? Your ability to stand alone has become both your superpower and their greatest fear. In a world that thrives on validation, your independence stands out as revolutionary. Have you noticed how your self-reliance disturbs the norm? It's a rare thing to see someone so rooted in their own purpose without needing constant approval. In a culture where conformity reigns, your authenticity is radical. You've chosen to stay true to who you are, even when the world tries to make you fit in. In a society that worships appearance, your substance is subversive. While others focus on what's seen on the outside, you've embraced what truly matters: your heart, your integrity, and your vision. Can you see how your authenticity challenges the very foundation of this world? You've become exactly who you were created to be, not despite the challenges, but because of them. The trials you faced didn't just shape your circumstances, they shaped who you are at the core. The adversity you've gone through has refined you, purified you, and activated your divine purpose. Have you realized that your strength, your resilience, and your transformation are all part of God's plan to reveal your true identity? The person you were before this journey could never have carried the purpose you now hold. As Isaiah 43 verse 2 reminds us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." The divine purpose encoded in your spirit has been activated through adversity. What was meant to destroy you has instead constructed you. What was supposed to be your grave has become your garden. You've sprouted new life in places where others would have crumbled. Can you recognize the beauty of your transformation? Like a seed that must break open to grow, you have been cracked open by life's challenges, only to emerge stronger and more powerful. As Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." This growth isn't finished. This transformation isn't complete. You're standing on the threshold of even greater evolution. Can you feel the anticipation of what's to come? The next phase of your journey is unfolding, and you're about to evolve into an even greater version of yourself. As God promises in Philippians 1:6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. You are still in the process of becoming, and the best is yet to come. Consider the life of Thomas Edison, who faced countless failures before inventing the light bulb. He was rejected time and again, but instead of giving up, he kept moving forward, using each failure as a lesson. Edison's perseverance is a testament to how challenges can lead to success when you refuse to quit. He once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Like Edison, your challenges are not setbacks. They are building the foundation for your success. Look at the life of Eleanor Roosevelt, who faced both personal and political challenges, but became an advocate for human rights and an icon of resilience. She once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Your journey, like hers, has been one of rising above adversity and standing firm in your own worth. You too have transformed challenges into stepping stones for your purpose. And think of Walt Disney, who faced rejection after rejection before finally creating the empire we know today. He was told that his ideas were too big, his dreams too unrealistic, but he kept pushing forward. Disney once said, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." Just like Disney, you've had to overcome doubts and obstacles, but your persistence will eventually make your dreams come true. Chosen one, your transformation is undeniable. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be, and the world has yet to see the fullness of your potential. Stand tall, because your evolution is far from over. What they thought would break you has only built you, and what you're becoming is far beyond anything they ever imagined. The best is yet to come. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. You are walking in his strength, and nothing can stop you. Chosen one, the challenges were never the end of your story. They were merely the necessary chapters that prepared you for your true beginning. Do you ever look back at the struggles you've faced and realize they were the very things that shaped you into who you are today? The obstacles you encountered were not meant to stop you. They were meant to teach you, refine you, and elevate you. Your story is not defined by the difficulties, but by how you rise above them. Can you feel that now, chosen one? You are stepping into the real beginning of your journey. As your light increases, so must your vigilance. Spiritual elevation requires practical protection. Can you sense the shift within you, the growing strength and light that is becoming impossible to ignore? With this increase in light, there is also a need for greater discernment. As you ascend spiritually, it's essential to protect your energy and your path forward. What practices can you put in place to safeguard the light that is now shining brightly within you? Here are divine instructions for safeguarding your path forward. First, change your phone number. This isn't paranoia, it's prudence. Do you realize that the access some people once had to your life needs to be severed? A new number creates a necessary boundary between your emerging self and those who only knew your former limitations. By creating this boundary, you protect your newfound strength from manipulation and negativity. It's not about closing yourself off. It's about setting healthy limits that allow you to grow into your purpose without interference. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." Your new energy requires a different kind of environment, and a simple step, like changing your phone number, can help establish that protection. Second, guard your energy with the same diligence you would guard priceless treasure, because that's precisely what your energy is. Have you ever noticed how easily your energy can be drained by negative interactions or environments? During these transitional times, it's more important than ever to maintain a positive internal environment, regardless of what's happening around you. Your thoughts are not just responses to the world. They are the creators of your reality. In Philippians 4:8, we're reminded, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." This scripture is a call to guard your mind and your spirit, choosing thoughts that align with your highest good. Third, practice psychic protection daily. Psalm 91 isn't just scripture, it's spiritual technology. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Have you ever felt like you needed a spiritual shield to protect you from unseen forces? Reciting this psalm, meditating on its words, and allowing its ancient wisdom to create a modern force field around your spirit can help you stay grounded and safe. This isn't superstition, it's a supernatural strategy to maintain your spiritual integrity and ward off negative energies. As Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you." This is the kind of divine protection that keeps your spirit strong and your path clear. Fourth, reconnect with nature. The natural world isn't just beautiful, it's restorative. How often do you step outside and take a moment to absorb the healing energy of nature? The trees aren't just scenery, they are sanctuaries. The ocean isn't just water, it's wisdom. Nature has an incredible power to realign your energy and restore your spirit. Spend time barefoot on the earth, allowing its healing frequencies to recalibrate your energy. Sit beneath trees, absorbing their silent strength and rooted wisdom. Walk along water, letting its flowing persistence remind you of your own adaptability. In Romans 1:20, it says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made." Nature is one of the clearest reflections of God's power and wisdom, and by reconnecting with it, you align yourself with the divine. These practices will elevate your vibration beyond the reach of lower energies that seek to entangle you, like increasing your altitude above turbulent weather. Raising your spiritual frequency places you above the storms that rage in lower consciousness. This isn't just protection, it's promotion to higher spiritual ground. Can you imagine what it would feel like to rise above the negativity? To live in a space where only your highest self can thrive? Implement these practices not from fear, but from wisdom, not from paranoia, but from prudence. The path of light requires both spiritual illumination and practical implementation. Your growing influence necessitates a growing intentionality about who and what has access to your sacred energy. In 1 Corinthians 10:23, it says, "I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive." This verse reminds you that while you have the freedom to live as you wish, it's your responsibility to ensure that your actions and associations align with your highest good. Chosen one, what was once a whisper of intuition is becoming a clear voice of inner knowing. What was once occasional insight is becoming consistent wisdom. You're experiencing an awakening to tree wisdom, that ancient knowledge that comes from being deeply rooted yet eternally reaching upward. The trees have always known the secret. Growth occurs silently, steadily, and often invisibly before manifesting in visible strength. Their wisdom is becoming your wisdom. Their patience is becoming your strategy. The divine feminine and masculine energies within you are achieving new harmony. The receptive, intuitive, nurturing aspects of your spirit are balancing with the active, analytical, protective dimensions. This internal harmony is creating external magnetism, drawing to you exactly what aligns with your highest good while naturally repelling what doesn't serve your purpose. And yes, as whimsical as it might sound to the logical mind, magical fairy blessings are indeed assisting your journey. Those unexpected synchronicities, those perfect timing coincidences, those resources that appear precisely when needed. The curtain between seen and unseen realms is thinning around you, allowing subtle support to manifest in tangible ways. These emerging gifts aren't random, they're responsive. They're appearing specifically to equip you for your unique purpose. They're not being given for your gratification, but for your assignment. Consider the journey of Malala Yousafzai, who survived a brutal attack for advocating education for girls. Despite facing immense adversity, she rose stronger, becoming a global symbol of courage and the fight for women's rights. Like Malala, your trials have only prepared you to make a larger impact. Lastly, think of the life of Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team, yet became one of the greatest athletes of all time. His perseverance through early rejection is a testament to how challenges can be turned into victories. As Jordan famously said, "I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying." Your journey too is about rising above every challenge and stepping into your greatness. Chosen one, each spiritual gift activating within you is a divine tool precisely calibrated for the work ahead. Can you feel it? Each gift you possess has been meticulously designed for your unique purpose. It's essential to guard these gifts from skeptical eyes, to keep them sacred and protected until they are strong enough to withstand scrutiny. Not everyone deserves access to your spiritual unfolding. Some will attempt to rationalize away what they cannot understand. Others will try to regulate what they cannot control. Your deepening spiritual connection is a sacred relationship between you and the divine, a relationship that requires no external validation. In Matthew 7:6, it says, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs." Protect your sacred gifts, chosen one, and allow them to grow in the quiet of your spirit until they are fully ready to shine. The journey has been longer than you anticipated. The night has been darker than you imagined possible. The opposition has been fiercer than you were prepared for. And yet, here you stand, still breathing, still believing, still becoming. How does it feel to know that despite everything, you are still here, still moving forward? You may have felt the weight of the journey, but it's important to remember that each step, no matter how difficult, has been leading you to this moment. Trust in divine timing, even when it seems excruciatingly slow by human standards. The universe isn't delaying your blessing, it's developing your capacity to receive and maintain it. As Romans 5:3-4 teaches, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. What appears as waiting is actually preparation. What feels like divine hesitation is actually sacred precision. Perseverance isn't just continuing, it's continuing with purpose. It's not just enduring, it's enduring with expectation. It's not merely surviving each day, it's investing each moment with meaning. Your ability to endure and grow is what separates destiny from mere existence. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get caught up in simply getting through each day? But there is a higher calling in how we endure. It's about infusing each moment with the purpose and meaning that God has placed within you. This kind of perseverance doesn't just carry you through, it shapes you into who you were always meant to be. Remember to care for yourself along this journey. Sacred purpose requires sacred rest. Divine assignment necessitates divine restoration. Have you allowed yourself time to pause and restore, or have you been pushing too hard? The same voice that calls you to greatness also invites you to stillness. The same power that propels you forward also provides you with necessary pauses. In Mark 6:31, Jesus said, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." It's a reminder that even in the midst of divine purpose, rest and restoration are just as sacred. Treat yourself with the tenderness and care that reflect your true value. Self-care isn't selfish. It's an act of honoring the sacred calling placed on your life. Prayer isn't just a religious exercise, it's relationship in its purest form. It's conversation with the Creator. It's communion with unconditional love. When words fail, when strength falters, when direction blurs, prayer creates a sanctuary within the storm. Not because it changes circumstances immediately, but because it changes you internally. Have you ever experienced how prayer, even in silence, transforms your heart and renews your spirit? It's through prayer that you reconnect with your divine purpose and receive the peace that surpasses understanding. Philippians 4:6-7 reminds us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." What began in shadows is emerging in light. What started in tears is culminating in triumph. Can you see it now? Your struggles, once shrouded in darkness, are becoming a shining testimony of your strength. What felt like abandonment was actually appointment. The silence of those who should have spoken up has given way to the voice of your own divine authority. This moment isn't just about what you've survived. It's about the power and purpose that are being revealed through you. This is your moment, not just of vindication, but of vision. You're stepping into a season of clarity, where the full picture of your purpose is becoming visible, not merely of survival, but of significance. You are no longer just enduring, you are making an impact, and everything you've experienced has prepared you for this, not simply of healing, but of wholeness. You're becoming whole, mind, body, and spirit, and nothing from your past can hold you back from this divine fullness. Consider the life of Helen Keller, who was left blind and deaf after an illness in childhood. She could have easily succumbed to despair, but instead she transformed her tragedy into triumph, becoming an author, activist, and speaker. Keller's life wasn't about surviving, it was about thriving with purpose. She said, "Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it." Look at the life of Albert Einstein, who faced failure in his early academic years and was considered a poor student by many. Yet he did not give up. Instead, he embraced his struggles and later became one of the greatest minds the world has ever known. Einstein once said, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." Your difficulties, like Einstein's, have given you the opportunity to uncover the deeper potential that lies within you. And think about the journey of Maya Angelou, who experienced unimaginable trauma but transformed that pain into poetry and wisdom that has touched generations. Angelou's resilience in the face of adversity serves as a beacon of hope for anyone facing hardships. She once said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Your challenges, like hers, are part of your beautiful unfolding, and they are shaping you into the person you were always meant to be." Beloved chosen one, as we reflect on your incredible journey, let us remember that the fire meant to destroy you has only illuminated your path forward. The opposition that was designed to defeat you has only revealed your immeasurable strength. You are standing in the glow of your trials, a beacon of resilience, courage, and divine purpose. Rise now, not in arrogance but in assurance, not in vengeance but in vision, not in bitterness but in boldness. Your story isn't just for you, it's for everyone watching from their own shadows, wondering if light is still possible. Your victory isn't just personal, it's prophetic, declaring that what God has done for one, He can do for all. From shadows to victory, from silence to significance, from wounded to warrior. This is your journey, this is your testimony, and this is your triumph. And remember, this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. And your transformation is only going to grow stronger from here. As I close this message, I want to express my deepest gratitude for your time, your energy, and your presence here. Whether you're watching and reflecting, or you've been following along from the very beginning, your journey is truly inspiring. If this message has resonated with you in any way, I invite you to show your support by contributing through Super Thanks. Your donations help to ensure that this powerful content continues to reach more souls in need of encouragement. But please know, your presence, your attention, and your engagement are valued no matter what. Every view and every interaction is a gift. Thank you truly for being a part of this community. And finally, I bless you, chosen one. May you continue to rise with strength and grace, walking in your divine purpose. May peace surround you and divine protection guard you. May you feel the power of your transformation every day as you step into the fullness of your potential. Keep shining because the world needs your light. God bless you, and remember, this is just the beginning of your incredible journey.